right, my good people. Are you ready to finish this top 100? It is about that time for the final list to have been completed. I'm hoping today, praying God willing, please let's get this done. I don't want this to be 20 parts. Um, so what we have here, and let me go ahead and I'll show you once again, keep in mind this is not at all the order. This is just the number of games that we have listed out. So as of right now, we are at 100 and dun, 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 9 games. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's more than 100 games, and this is supposed to be a top 100 list. What we did, what I did was for anybody who didn't watch the entire thing, and I totally understand not watching the entire thing, so I'll quickly explain here. I went through and I put all of the games into these different tiers. So we had the locks, the games that are absolutely 100% going to be in the top 100. And then we had the games that are likely locks, games that are likely going to be in the top 100. Then we had bubble games, games that could be or could not be in the top 100. So that was filled with a lot of titles. The problem was that we already had like 99 titles in the lock and likely lock camp. So that kind of kicked everything from the bubble out. What I did was I put everything from the bubble back in and then ranked the bubble separately, came away with the top 10 from the bubble, and those top 10 games are in here along with the other fucking 99 games. So what we have to do now, we're going to have to kick some of these bubble games the hell off this list. But we're going through the whole thing today. I'm going to try my damnedest to go through the whole thing today. So let's get into this damn top 100. Um, what I'm thinking about doing for the bubble or no longer bubble. Just what I'm thinking about doing for these games is I'm going to do a quick round of lightning fast matchups. Did I bring my pin? Yep. Okay. Um, what I think I'm going to do is go through this and I am going to lightning quick, so we got Fable 2 versus SSX Tricky. I think that I would take SSX Tricky over Fable 2. Okay, so SSX Tricky can stay there. Um, SSX Tricky over, you know what? We're gonna have to switch this list to the edit and go down, down, baby, your street in a Range Rover. Um, all right. So Fable 2 will stay where it's at. I would take SSX over Fable. I would take SSX over Bayonetta. So SSX will go ahead of Bayonetta. I would take Freedom Fighters above SSX. Fable 2 or Bayonetta, I think I would take Fable 2, or I think I would take Bayonetta above Fable 2. Freedom Fighters or Resident Evil 2. I think I would go Freedom Fighters over Resident Evil 2, the remake. I think I would go Freedom Fighters above The Last of Us Part 2. And Last of Us Part 2 versus Resident Evil 2. I think I would go Resident Evil 2 remake above The Last of Us 2. And yeah, I would keep The Last of Us 2 above SSX Tricky. And then so we're now at Freedom Fighters versus Rollerdrome. I would take Freedom Fighters over Rollerdrome. I would take, I don't know, man. 007 Everything or Nothing is a really, really special game, in my opinion. I think you're kind of getting into territory where with 007, you're talking about it's a game that I'm not saying it was the first, but it was one of the first games with cover shooting. It was a fucking awesome James Bond game that had no license tie-in other than Pierce Bronson. Like there was no movie that this was associated with. It was a brand new story with Willem Dafoe, and like it had a lot of things going on that were incredibly fucking interesting. And I don't know, I think it plays really, really well. So many badass set pieces. I think I'm gonna go everything or nothing over Freedom Fighters. And everything or nothing over Plague Tale Innocence. No. Plague Tale Innocence above everything or nothing. Days Gone or Plague Tale Innocence. Mm. Days Gone is gonna stay ahead of Plague Tale Innocence. I think Days Gone, you know, it, it's just so fucking different. You know what I mean? Like Days Gone is that was like one of the common criticisms that was thrown out there with Days Gone, right? Where it was like it's Sons of Anarchy meets The Walking Dead, and it's like, yeah, fucking sure, I guess, but what game is that? You know what I mean? Like we can compare it to these cliches or these tropes from other entertainment fields, but like what game is it like? And then you'll throw to The Last of Us. It's like, I don't really know, man. Like this is definitely more of a legitimate survival game than The Last of Us. The Last of Us has a way better story, much, much fucking better story. Not even close, but I don't know. This does something a lot different. This is almost more reminiscent of like, what if State of Decay was a really solid third person shooter and maybe not quite as much of an RPG? Like, you know what I mean? Um, yeah, Days Gone has to stay. Days Gone or Dragon Age 2, I would take Days Gone over Dragon Age 2. I would take Plague Tale Innocence over Dragon Age 2. I would take Days Gone over Max Payne. I would take Plague Tale Innocence over Max Payne. I would take Days Gone over Spider-Man 2. Would take a Plague Tale Innocence over Spider-Man 2. So now we got to start looking at like Max Payne versus, let's see, um, yeah, Max Payne versus like Dragon Age 2. Yeah, I think I would take Max Payne over Dragon Age 2. I think I would take Spider-Man 2 over Max Payne. But I think I would take 007 Everything or Nothing over Dragon Age 2, Spider-Man 2, and Max Payne. And I think I would also take Freedom Fighters over all of those titles. So we're going to bump both of those up as well. And I think that that kind of gets us into our top 100 territory. Um, we'll save these changes, view the list, and see what we're at numbers wise here. Okay, wow. Actually, yeah. So that would make the cutoff would be Spider-Man 2. Damn, that's a bummer. I really would like to have Spider-Man 2 on that list. But see, that's the problem. Like, for what? You know? What would it be on that list for? So it's looking like right now the cuts are Spider-Man 2, Max Payne, Dragon Age 2, Rollerdrome, um, hold on one second. Resident Evil 2, the remake, The Last of Us Part 2, SSX Tricky, Bayonetta, and Fable 2. God, I hate this, man. I fucking hate this. I hate living in a world where those games are not on my top 100 games of all time. I love all of those, but hey, that's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess, right? Those were sort of the bottom entries, and now it's time to sort out the official top 100, which just going to do a quick scan through this to see if there's anything I would drop. But I mean, like, once again, those were the games that were on the bubble, and a couple of them did fight through the bubble and got in. I mean, fucking all four of these fought from the bubble to get in. Days Gone, Plague Tale, 007 Everything or Nothing, and Freedom Fighters were all bubble games that made their way in. So it's not like, hey, they it was a valiant effort. They got in, but a lot of these other ones, we're talking about locks here, stuff that like I'm not removing from a top 100 list. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just looking through it and it's like no chance that you know, no chance that I'm removing a lot of these games in order to get some of that other stuff in there. So let's begin the rankings. And some of these are going to move around in drastic areas. So keep your neck on a swivel here. Um, I think I'm pretty confident with that bottom rung. I don't really think there's much I want to move there. I Rise of the Tomb Raider in Tomb Raider 2013, I am, you know, I don't know if I necessarily need both of them in my top 100, and that would make room for another game to get in. How about can we remove from the list? Let's see what pops up. Nah, I don't know if deleting this log is going to, because I'm cool with getting rid of it. Save. Let's see, saving your data. Save. Can I get back? All right, fuck it. It's gonna stay there. You know what? We'll actually drop. If I had to, I think I would drop 2013's Tomb Raider. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that real quick. Um, yeah, we'll pivot and because if we drop 2013's Tomb Raider from the list, that would bring in room for what would that get? That would get Spider-Man 2 in the door, which, yeah, fuck yeah. I'm totally down for that compromise right there. So saving that, and let's see what we have now. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure that would just be, yep, getting Spider-Man 2 in with that bottom rung. Okay, cool. Perfect. All right, now let's get into the placements. Let's get into these rankings proper and actually begin this fucking thing 15 minutes in. Um, start at the bottom. Always fun to start at the bottom, work your way up. I think I would take X-Men Origins Wolverine ahead of Days Gone. I would take Rise of the Tomb Raider ahead of X-Men Origins Wolverine, though. And then we go to Rise of the Tomb Raider versus Dying Light. I would take Dying Light ahead of Rise of the Tomb Raider. And then I would take Simpsons Hit and Run ahead of Dying Light, I think. I would also take Simpsons Hit and Run ahead of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And I would take Simpsons Hit and Run ahead of everything on here until we get to Resident Evil Village, I believe. Um, and let's go ahead and swap. Yeah, let's swap Assassin's Creed Odyssey and The Walking Dead. Let's swap Assassin's Creed Odyssey ahead of Until Dawn and put it right beneath Control. I think that is yeah, that's where I would rank Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a fucking fantastic video game. I don't really I mean I do understand the criticism. It's a long fucking bloated bloated video game, but I just found that world to be so fun to be a part of, and I found the you know, combat to be really just kicking motherfuckers off cliffs. And I thought the story was interesting, the whole drama thing with your dad. And like, I don't know, I just really got into Odyssey. And Village versus Oblivion. I would take Resident Evil Village above Oblivion. I would take, would I take it above Far Cry 3? No. I would not take Resident Evil 8 above Far Cry 3. I would take Far Cry 3 above. Hmm, would I think I would take Far Cry 3 above Metal Gear Solid 3. I think I would take Far Cry 3 above Madden '05. You know what? I think I would take Far Cry 3 above everything on here until we get to, oh boy, Far Cry 3 might make a pretty big jump. I would take Far Cry 3 above everything until we get to Batman Arkham City. I I think fucking Far Cry 3 is once again very, very good. And I know there's so much fatigue, and it's kind of the same thing that I feel about Odyssey, where it's like there's definitely a lot of Assassin's Creed fatigue now. And I get it. There's definitely a lot of Far Cry fatigue now, but Far Cry 3 at the time was so, so innovative. Such a breath of fresh air for open world games and just the freedom that was on offer with Far Cry 3. I'd never really played anything like that when it came out, as like a console gamer or whatever. Like I was never a PC guy, so like the Deus Ex games, but even the Deus Ex games didn't really offer that level of freedom, at least when they were consolified, like the Human Revolution and Mankind Divided. They were much smaller spaces and set pieces that you were infiltrating. It wasn't like this massive open world thing that Far Cry 3 was, with the level of like tackling any mission however you see fit. Um, Silent Hill 1 is going to have to drop quite a bit. I would probably, I wish I could see the numbers. That would really help a lot. But actually, no, I don't really want to see the numbers because then that might fuck with my head. I like just having this clear view right here. I would drop Silent Hill down below everything here, below Metal Gear Solid 3. Oh, Silent Hill is going way down. Silent Hill would probably drop to, ooh, I would put Silent Hill above Rise of the Tomb Raider, but right below Dying Light. We got another Silent Hill game on the list, no worries. But Silent Hill 1, going back to it, the original, like I cannot wait for the remake because I do think the remake will get us to a spot. Bloober's just fucking crushing right now, but I think that that original game is a little bit rough, from a gameplay standpoint, a little bit rough. A lot rough, but it's still atmospheric as can be. It is the just aesthetic, the vibe, the fog, the limitation that then was, you took a limitation and spun it into like this innovative new feature that other games would ape, even into generations where there were none of these draw distance issues and rendering issues. Developers were still using this technique because it just created a level of atmosphere that was kind of unfucking paralleled. So much respect, just a bit tedious. All right, so we're in this little bunch here, right? I would take Madden '05 above Jedi Academy. I would take Jedi Academy above MGS3, so that's fine placement there. I will go Madden '05 above Ultimate Spider-Man. Um, Lost Judgment, no. Definitely not above Lost Judgment. I think Lost Judgment might be doing a little bit of climbing as well. I think Lost Judgment is going above everything in this tier here with Gears, Horizon, LA Noire, Far Cry 3. It's going above. Actually, no, it's probably not going above. We'll put it right below Far Cry 3 though, right above LA Noire for Lost Judgment. I Lost Judgment is a fucking amazing, amazing video game. An absolutely amazing video game. It is, in my opinion, the best combat system RGG has crafted at this point. And I just think that the whole system of like, you're setting up this crazy scenario where you're infiltrating a school to investigate a crime, and then it's like, oh, now I'm a part of the robotics club, and I'm building robots and going into these robot duels, and oh, now I'm in a Microsoft. Now I'm in a motorcycle gang. Now I'm taking classes at a boxing gym, and now I'm doing dance recital. It's fucking crazy, but it's so fun. Um, want to make sure that we kind of go through everything in order real quick though. I think I would take Dragon Age Origins above Madden 05. Yeah, so we'll leave that there. I would I take Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy over Ultimate Spider-Man? These are the questions, right? Like I just heard myself say that and I was like, this is what you're this is okay. This is what you're doing with your life. You're comparing is is Ultimate Spider-Man better than Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy? These are the questions. Um, is it? It probably is. No, fuck that. Fuck that. Jedi Knight Jedi Academy actually needs to go up a little bit higher. Now that I'm thinking of this is the best. I love Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor and The Force Unleashed and yada yada yada. But this is the best lightsaber combat in terms of trying to recreate what it likely would feel like to actually be able to wield a lightsaber. Like, I think this is the most closely related to that sensation that you're ever going to get in video game form, unfortunately. Hopefully, someone else comes along, kind of apes this and, creates an even more improved version of this. But as of right now, Jedi Knight Jedi Academy's got to be up there a little bit. I'm putting Jedi Academy above right below NBA Street for right now. And I'm going to drop No Mercy below NBA Street. And then I'm going to also drop Gears of War 5 below NBA Street and probably below No Mercy as well. Um, okay, so we're kind of in this camp. Should Shut Your Mouth be higher? No, no, no. We got some good wrestling game representation that we're going to be really focusing on later on in the show. So we'll leave that for where it is now. Horizon Zero Dawn versus LA Noire. I'm going to bump Zero Dawn down a bit. I'll put it right above Gears of War 5. Horizon Zero Dawn is 95% story for me. Like, that's really the thing that I love about Zero Dawn. I think it tells an immaculate story. This kind of, for one, a coming of age story with Aloy as like kind of this Disney sort of setup at the beginning of the game, but then also this rediscovery of ancient technology that is actually more advanced than anyone in your current civilization and the burden of this knowledge. Like there's a lot of great story beats, but the gameplay is just so rough in comparison to Horizon Forbidden West. So yeah, I'll have to drop Zero Dawn a little bit there. And yeah, I'd take LA Noire above NBA Street. I'd take Arkham City above Far Cry 3. I think I would take Arkham City above everything until we get to Parasite Eve. I'd put it above The Sims 1. I do think I would rank Parasite Eve slightly higher than Arkham City. And let's just do a little bit of rearranging right here. I would go Thug 2 above The Sims. Yeah, Thug 2 above The Sims. Tony Hawk's Underground 2, you know, is uh, it's really impressive in terms of, for one, the it's just going to appeal to a certain age range. Like if you were into Jackass at this time, Jackass was heavily infused into Thug 2, and it just felt bigger, grander in scope, crazier, over the top, the pranks. Like, I don't know. I really love Tony Hawk's Underground 2. Not as much as one, but yeah, I'd put it ahead of The Sims 1. I would also put Midnight Club 3 ahead of The Sims 1, I think. And then, yeah, I think everything else on this rung I'm cool with. I think I would put The Sims ahead of CTR. And then so now we're looking at Parasite Eve. Where exactly should Parasite Eve round up to? I'd go Parasite Eve above Code Veronica. I would go above Dead Space. I would go above Wolfenstein 2. I would not go above Skyrim. So there's your run for Parasite Eve. Parasite Eve, you know, I just am desperately waiting for that remake. And it's like, I just can't believe that if it is a licensing issue, like, I don't understand how Square Enix couldn't afford the license to fucking Parasite Eve. I, or just create a new damn horror game called like Dawn of the Parasite, like whatever the fuck, right? Well, I guess that might be. Is that some Dawn of the Dead spinoff or some shit? But I don't know. Parasite Eve is just ripe for a comeback. Silent Hill is back, popular as ever, more popular than ever. Silent Hill 2, the remake, way outsold the original games. Resident Evil is way outselling the original games. We even saw Dead Space get a little bit of a comeback, and EA did what EA does, and Square will do what Square does. So I guess there is your fucking completely perfect comparison. Um, Skyrim's got to be up there, but let's not get to Skyrim yet. Let's talk Wolfenstein 2, Code Veronica, Dead Space. This little run here, Wolfenstein 2, I am gonna drop down quite a bit. I would not put Wolfenstein 2 ahead of anything on this row beneath it. I'd put it below Midnight Club, below The Sims, below CTR, below Far Cry 3, below Lost Judgment, below LA Noire. I would put Wolfenstein 2 right below Horizon Zero Dawn, but I think I would put it above everything. No, I wouldn't. I would actually put Wolfenstein 2 right above Dragon Age Origins and right below SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. Wolfenstein 2 is excellent. And there's some story shit in Wolfenstein 2 that like I just think is out of this world. I don't want to spoil anything, but it goes places. Quite literally, you are going places that you don't expect to go in Wolfenstein 2 multiple times, the location swapping, and it's just got some cool fucking shit in that game. But at the end of the day, it's a fucking balls to the wall, chaotic first person shooter. And I dig that at times, but it's not going to be like my preferred go-to style of gameplay. I will go up here towards Dead Space territory. And yeah, you can do a quick swap here. Dead Space over Code Veronica. I think I'm fine with that. Code Veronica. Yeah, Code Veronica stays right there, I think. I think I would take Code Veronica over Arkham City. Maybe not, actually. Yeah, let's actually drop Code Veronica beneath Arkham City and beneath Thug 2, but ahead of Midnight Club 3. Skyrim or Mafia 2, I would go Mafia 2 ahead of Skyrim. Half-Life 2 or Mafia 2, I would go Mafia 2 ahead of Half-Life 2. What the fuck just happened? Oh boy. Don't fail me now. Am I right there? Okay, yeah, 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 we're good. And I would go Skyrim ahead of Half-Life 2. Okay, yep. Unfortunately, it- that's just it's the reality of building these lists. Sometimes things have to get tore down a little bit. Half-Life 2 would drop probably in the realm of actually no, I think this is kind of okay. I would go below uh I'd go below Parasite Eve and below Dead Space, but ahead of Batman Arkham City for Half-Life 2. And okay, now so we're still at Mafia 2. Mafia 2 ahead of Crash. I got so much love for Crash Bandicoot, the OG, but really the Crash game I love the most is higher up on that list. But also the Mafia game I love the most is higher up on that list. So, but I mean, yeah, I would take Mafia 2 ahead of Crash. I don't think I would put it above Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, is like fucking Metal Gear Solid 3 Tomb Raider. It just this shit worked for me, man. And it's kind of got me pumped for the idea of that MGS3 remake. I know it probably won't have gameplay quite as tight as this because Crystal Dynamics were fucking just on a different level with the third person shooting and just the all of their systems were firing at 11 during this run from 2013 to what was this 2018. That 5 year period, 3 games, 5 years, very impressive. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is up there, is up there. I And you know what I also really like about this list? I have no idea where the cutoff is for like what was the likely lock versus the lock. And like I don't know. You know what I mean? So like this is one of those things where I obviously I don't remember it all and there's no visual marker on the screen to indicate where what is and where the line is. So it's like me almost having to go back through and re-examine this to figure out what the proper placement for the rankings should be. um, Shadow of the Tomb Raider above BioShock Infinite? Probably not. I think BioShock Infinite might climb a good bit. BioShock Infinite is one of the greatest first person shooters, if not the greatest first person shooter ever created, in my opinion, for in terms of single player campaigns. And all of my multiplayer shit is sports, or Crash Bash or CTR. Like I don't really play multiplayer shooters. Um, fuck. BioShock Infinite's got to climb. I would go ahead of GTA 5. I would not go ahead of Sleeping Dogs, but uh, let's go ahead and do this. If we gonna do this, we need to go ahead and do this. Sleeping Dogs is has to climb. Like, you know what? I'm not saying this is locked. We're gonna drop Sleeping Dogs at number one right now. It's not a lock. But that's the range we're talking about for sleeping dogs. So we don't even need to have that in the company of the others down here because it doesn't belong. Um, yeah. I'm actually seeing a few games that we could kind of go ahead and do that with. And I'm like, uh, this is the reality. I'm thinking in my head, like the content part of my brain is kicking. And it's like, well, what is the best way to spin this to make it the most entertaining and to create the most anticipation, the most tension possible? But I think the reality of the situation is let's not delay the inevitable and we'll get to the proper rankings when we get to it. The Last of Us is up there. You know what I mean? And I saw one more that was down here in this range that needs to be bumped up. Yep, right there. Alpha Protocol is up there. So let's kind of get these games in their proper range. Why is it going so damn slow? I gotta get this computer fucking sold. So we're gonna leave those three where they are for now, and yeah, we'll get back to them here in a second. Okay, so Bioshock Infinite would be ahead of GTA 5. Shadow of the Tomb Raider would be ahead of GTA 5. Mafia 2 might no. GTA 5 would be ahead of Mafia. Would Shadow of the Tomb Raider be ahead of GTA 5? Nah, fuck it. Feels right. Feels right now. Deus Ex Human Revolution, I think I would take ahead of BioShock Infinite, but I think Deus Ex Human Revolution is another one that we're going to be bumping up quite a bit. The Outer Worlds 2 or the Outer Worlds would drop considerably here. I think I would drop the Outer Worlds. right above, yeah, right above Skyrim, right below Crash Bandicoot, and I think Spec Ops The Line would probably drop just a little bit. I don't know. Spec Ops The Line is something really, really special. Spec Ops is like you're talking about a one of the very few war shooters on the market that the story that it tells is not like you know it's actually incredibly, incredibly complex. And I feel like it you don't want to say um paints like an accurate light on the realities of war because like no game is really going to do that. But I feel like this is kind of as close as you can get in a video game. Um, but with that said, I would still take Human Revolution and BioShock Infinite ahead of it. I think I would take Spec Ops The Line ahead of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, GTA 5, and all of that, though. So we'll leave that where it is. Human Revolution, I would take ahead of Infinite. I would take Human Revolution ahead of Ghost of Tsushima. Would I take Infinite ahead of Ghost of Tsushima? Ghost of Tsushima, is just it just plays so fucking well, and it's so beautiful, and it does so many interesting things in terms of navigation with the wind mechanic and having that kind of guide you to where you need to go without being intrusive and without being like this cluttered mess of a UI. Um, yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is impressive in a lot of regards for what it does to kind of maximize that PlayStation 4 hardware as one of the swan song games. But with that being said, I still think I would take BioShock Infinite ahead of it. I'm sorry. Ghost of Tsushima. I think I would also take Spec Ops ahead of it now that I'm thinking about it. Just more impactful for sure. And I'm such a narrative guy. Spec Ops, the narrative crushes Tsushima's. Love you, Sucker Punch. Y'all are the goats, but Spec Ops The Line is goated. Tsushima ahead of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, though. Yeah. Cyberpunk, man, this is a difficult one. Cyberpunk is an incredibly, incredibly difficult one because we're talking about a game that has had multiple different games and multiple different kind of lifespans and these different versions of Cyberpunk that I feel very differently about. And it's like I guess I just go 2.0 completely, right? When we're looking at this talking about Cyberpunk, I guess we're just talking about 2.0 and ignore everything that is not 2.0. And if that's the case, Cyberpunk is about to climb. How high is the question, but Cyberpunk is about to climb. It would be ahead of Plague Tale Requiem. It would be ahead of Human Revolution. Um, it would be ahead of Mafia 1. It would be ahead of Uncharted 4. It would be ahead of Evil West. It would not be ahead of The Wolf Among Us. The Wolf Among Us has got to climb as well. So come on up here to the top because you were certainly a top dog. We'll put you right there next to The Last of Us because I kind of view these two games, they're interlinked forevermore. Um, Boy, we're in rough water. Resident Evil 4 remake versus Cyberpunk 2077. Motherfuck me. So I'm looking ahead, and both of these two games need to climb. Ahead of Sifu, ahead of Max Payne 3, ahead of Starfield for Cyberpunk 2077. And then Resident Evil 4 Remake, I think I actually would put ahead of Cyberpunk 2077 2.0, not ahead of Mass Effect. Starfield's going to climb a little bit too. I would put Starfield ahead of Sifu, right below Cyberpunk 2077. So let's get back to this territory real quick because we got some sorting to do here. Plague Tale Requiem, I would take ahead of Mafia 1. The remake, I would take it ahead of Uncharted 4. I would not take it ahead. Yeah, I would take it ahead of Evil West, actually, I think. I would not take it ahead of Horizon Forbidden West. Uncharted 4, I would take ahead of Evil West. I think Evil West might have to drop a little bit here. This is where shit really fucking hurts because Evil West is like that's my damn. I don't want that thing to move at all. I would like that game to be a top 10 game, but I'm like looking at this list. I'm like, well, where the fuck does Evil West go? Like it's a lock. You know what I mean? It's not, there's no world where it's gonna drop. Oh shit, I just kicked the hell out of that camera. Apologies, guys, but I guess you got a new camera view there. Um, no way it's gonna drop to, it's definitely ahead of like Ghost of Tsushima for me, I would say. Mm, But I don't think it's ahead of, is it ahead of Spec Ops The Line? Probably not. So we're gonna drop Evil West down there. Um, right ahead of Ghost of Tsushima, right below Spec Ops The Line. Horizon, I'm cool with ahead of Plague Tale Requiem. Max Payne 3, not really. Max Payne 3, I actually might drop a good bit here. I'm gonna place Max Payne 3 right above GTA 5, right below Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Once again, it's painful to fucking do this, but Max Payne 3, it I love that game. I absolutely do. I don't think it's like some narrative juggernaut. I think the gameplay though is just out of this fucking world. And the transitioning from gameplay to cinematics and just some of the shit it does on a technical level is so impressive. Um I let's see. Sifu is a little too high. Sifu's a little too high. Let's drop Sifu. God damn it, man. This is brutal. You know what? Let's get a lay of the land. Let's get a lay. This is not easy, but let's get a little look see what the list is looking like right now as we stand. We'll let's not even really look at these numbers per se in terms of the ranking, but let's just see what we're ranking, like what range we're at. So we're in the 40s. We're ranking through the 40s. So we're over halfway through the list right now. We're making good time. Uh, mm, but is Sifu a top 50 game of all time for me? No. Fuck. Fuck. Okay. I think I know where I'm putting Sifu. This is brutal. Absolute bloodbath. Sifu's probably going to fall quite a bit here. And I actually just saw another game that's going to fall quite a bit. God, dog, this is brutal. Okay, Sifu is going to go down to right below, right below Mafia 2, right above Crash Bandicoot. I And I think this is just due to, listen, Sifu was one of the very few games that I loved enough to quote unquote get good at. I am not the type of gamer who wants to sit around banging his head into a wall, and you're going to do a lot of banging your head into a wall while playing Sifu. There's no avoiding it, there's no getting around it, and it can be very, very fucking annoying at times. And that's just not my style of game. You know what I mean? but I loved the gameplay so much that I dealt with the frustrating elements. I dealt with the things that I didn't like about that game because there was so much that I did like about Sifu. You know what I mean? There was so much that I was completely fucking enamored by. I did find that combat system to be so addictive. And I found the leveling up and upgrading system and getting these new perks and getting these new abilities and learning the environments and mastering it so addictive. But the core gameplay of a roguelike, very brutal, very difficult experience, like it's not something that's typically going to resonate with me like a lot of these other narrative centric just games to after a long day of work, you sit back, you kick your feet up, you chill, you make good progress, you feel nice. Like that's just what I'm looking for, man. I get it. I'm an old ass man and but I'm not really looking for brutal challenge. I appreciate it every now and again. I'll take like one of those per generation. Sifu's my one I'll knock off this generation, but it would have to be. And honestly, like I'm sitting here looking, I can't put Sifu above Crash Bandicoot. Fuck, man. Sifu I think drops below Skyrim, right above Parasite Eve. I'll give it that. Right above Parasite Eve. And now we move on up into, okay, so we're still in this territory. Let me try to fucking quit the ramblings. Starfield, I think I would take above Forbidden West. No, I'd take Forbidden West ahead of I would take, yeah, Forbidden West ahead of Starfield. So we'll make that quick swap. I would take Cyberpunk 2.0 ahead of Forbidden West. I would take RE4 ahead of Cyberpunk 2.0. Mass Effect 2 has to be moving way, 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 way up there. And I just saw a game that has to be moving way, way, way. This is fucking hell. Resident Evil 4, the OG, is gonna have to drop way, way back. Um, and you know what? Not way, way back. You know what I'm actually going to do? Wherever RE4 Remake goes, I'm going to put RE4 OG right next to it. I'm just going to keep those two games kind of interlocked with one another because you don't get RE4 Remake without RE4 OG. You don't get third person shooters at all without RE4 OG. And it's kind of the weird thing where I would never ever play Resident Evil 4 the original again after the remake. The remake just makes it kind of redundant. Like the RE4 remake is one of the best playing video games that has ever been made in the history of ever. RE4 OG is kind of just getting its feet wet. It's starting to, learn what it is to be a over the shoulder third person. Like it created that, it created that perspective. It changed third person shooters forever. It's more innovative and impactful than 99% of video games that will ever exist. However, I just like playing the remake a whole hell of a lot more. So when putting together like a personal top 100 list, I have to value that a bit more. You know what I mean? So I I think both of these games jump. I think that Red Dead Redemption 1 jumps way down. Uh, I wouldn't take Red Dead Redemption 1 ahead of anything until we get to probably Max Payne 3. I would take Red Dead 1 ahead of Max Payne 3. Yeah. But I don't think I would take it ahead of Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So we'll go ahead of Max Payne 3, right below Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Let's see. RE4 Remake. I would take Jedi Survivor over RE4 Remake. I would take Jedi Survivor over Pyre, over Uncharted 2, over BioShock. That's a game. God damn it. Let's let me find some games that I need to move way up. It feels so bad like pulling these games down. But BioShock, not a snowball's chance in hell. BioShock 1 is ahead of Infinite. So let's put it right there for now, but not ahead of Spec Ops. Oh boy. Yeah, BioShock's dropping way, way, way down here. I would put BioShock below the original below Half-Life 2, above Arkham City. I feel for BioShock the original. Yeah, that would be the placement there. BioShock 1 incredible in terms of narrative, but man, I would just Infinite's gameplay is drastically I'll just say more my bag. I really connected with Infinite's gameplay much more than BioShock 1. Take a drink of water. I'm recording this back to back. I just recorded Mafia rankings. My, how much easier that was than this. God damn, this is punishing. Like I'm actually, you start feeling kind of bad, and that's why I wanted to take you motherfuckers with me through this shit instead of just presenting a top 100, and maybe I might still do that. Um, I don't know. I feel like this is more than enough fucking parts of this list, but I was thinking like it might be cool to just do a top 100 and just roll out the list, and maybe I'll do like a little I could maybe just share the link so y'all could go through it and see it, or I don't know, but maybe I'll do a post and I don't fucking know. I don't want to. If this thing has taught me anything, it's to stop fucking promising shit. And here I am promising shit. If I wouldn't have promised this like 3 years ago, I wouldn't be here right now. I've felt so guilty about that for so long, where I promised y'all I was gonna get you this, and it's been fucking 3 years and still absolutely nothing. And I promise I've been thinking about this and been wanting to do this, but you see the difficulty. It's like putting this together because I don't want to just jot them down. And it's like, I don't know, we'll put that here, this here. It's like, I can't, that just doesn't, no, not for top 100 games ever, all time. That's like a big thing, man. That's an important thing. We gotta take our time with this. We gotta settle in. RE4 versus Pyre. And then you settle in and you realize how ridiculous everything about this is. Resident Evil 4 versus fucking Pyre, the two most completely polar opposite video games that have ever video gamed. Pyre is something very fucking special. Blending basketball, football, rugby, all these different things with like an immaculate story. But I don't think I would take it above Resident Evil 4. It's not quite in that camp, I wouldn't say. I don't think I would take it above Cyberpunk. Um, I would drop Pyre below, probably below Deus Ex, Human Revolution, right above BioShock Infinite. Actually, right below BioShock Infinite, right above Spec Ops The Line for Pyre, I think would be my ranking there. And now we're at Uncharted 2 territory. Uncharted territory indeed. Um, oh God. You look up and you start seeing The Witcher and Mass Effect, and you're like, motherfucker, what have I got myself into? So let's actually, you know what? Let's enough moving things down for a second. That's just not good for the soul. You're taking and moving games that you love so much and you're dropping them down. It's like let's move The Witcher way up. And let's put that in the company that it belongs. And maybe we'll do one and the other. We'll do a move one up, move one down. That way you don't feel like you're ripping your soul from your chest. The Witcher 3 is, one of the greatest stories ever told, maybe the best story of the eighth generation of consoles. And I think that it is, in my opinion, of the you know action role playing games, the console role playing games, it's probably got some of the most depth in terms of choice and consequence. And it seems to be accounting for your choice more than most games, more than most console RPGs. And while I don't think it has the strongest combat, and I think it'll get dinged a little bit for that ultimately when we really start placing it, I do think that it has one of the most living, breathing, alive feeling worlds that I've ever seen in my life, especially for a fantasy game. You just don't get games like this in the fantasy genre often at all that feels so human. You know, that's the thing is fantasy oftentimes feels so ridiculous to me that it's like I can develop no human connection to these people because they're fairies and fucking butterflies and they're doing all this, silly shit. And it's like, I don't know. I just don't listen. Everybody is different. I do not have that tolerance, if you will, for the cheeky, chirpy fucking shit. It just is not it's absolutely not in my bag whatsoever to be listening to that shit. Um, but The Witcher 3 has none of it, you know? And so, yeah, just I fucking adore that game. And I do not like fantasy games. You look through this list, you do not see much fantasy at all. I mean, as we're scrolling, I think we just got to our first fantasy game with Jade Empire right there. And that's like, I like that because it's more mixed martial arts than it is fantasy. Um, okay. So we need to drag one down just to be fair. And GTA 3 can go. GTA 3 can definitely go. We got a lot of Grand Theft Auto representation up there at the top. GTA 3 does not need to be here. I appreciate the influence, undoubtedly. But let's find GTA 3 its spot real quick. I would go below, I would go below no, I wouldn't go below GTA 5. I would go right above Tsushima for GTA 3. I'm not going to sit here like with GTA 3, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's, it is probably the most influential game. Oh shit, I just bumped Tsushima up. Okay. GTA 3 is probably the most influential game of my lifetime and probably most of our lifetime. Like anybody watching this that's in that, let's say anybody watching this who is like younger than 45, it's probably the most influential game in all of our lifetimes. You know what I mean? I don't think, I think you would have to go back to like shit, fucking, I don't know. I guess you could maybe go Mario 64, the could maybe go that, but even then, I think you could make a strong case that GTA 3 is more influential than Mario 64. I get it that Mario 64 was kind of on the pioneering front of really figuring out the 3D space and like I get it, but open worlds with like this level of freedom, you really didn't see anything like that or anything even close until you got GTA 3. And, it was like a common belief that this was impossible to make a fucking living, breathing, open city like this. Um, and yeah, it just, this was, you saw the clones come a pouring in after GTA 3 released. But if I'm being completely real from a gameplay standpoint, I went back to it last year. It does not hold up whatso fucking ever. So it's not one that I really ever have much desire of returning to. I'll return to Vice City. I'll return to San Andreas. I went back and replayed them all last year. I finished San Andreas. I finished Vice City. I finished 4. I finished 5. I did not finish 3. And there's a reason for that. It's definitely dated. Um, but influence noted, it's got to be high up on this list. And then even just from a personal standpoint, because this is my personal top 100. Like I'm not just saying I'm weighing the influence in and having coming to this conclusion of like, yeah, it's got to be in this list because it's influential. That's definitely a factor, but it's also like I played the fuck out of that when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like when it came out, I played the ever loving shit out of it. But when Vice City came out, I never went back to it. And when San Andreas came out, I never went back to it, but I definitely went back to San Andreas and Vice City. So I mean that says something. Okay. So think we're in somewhat decent territory here. Let's drop Silent Hill 3 down quite a bit as well. I would put Silent Hill 3 below, um, definitely below RE4, the Resident Evil 4 games. I would probably drop Silent Hill 3 down into, let's see. I would put Silent Hill 3 below Half-Life 2, below BioShock. I would put it above Code Veronica, and I would put it above Tony Hawk's Underground 2, but I wouldn't put it above Arkham City. Let's see. Is there anything else that needs pulling up or pulling down to a significant degree just to separate these out, sort them out, get it nice and clear, clear up the picture for us? Fallout 3 should drop. Fallout 3 should definitely drop. I would take Skyrim ahead of Fallout 3, I believe. So find Skyrim is just kind of let's use that as our barometer. All right, so Sifu ahead of Fallout 3. Yeah, I'd take Sifu ahead of Fallout 3. I would take Parasite Eve ahead of Fallout 3. Dead Space ahead of Fallout 3. No. Fallout 3 ahead of Dead Space. Let's see. I it's like I'm looking through this and for whatever reason I'm seeing the ones that I need to drop but not seeing the ones that I need to bring up. It's like, well, it's never exactly what you want to do, but let's just go ahead and do it one more time and let's pay some praise to this one though. Let's drop Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man 1 will be um below Starfield, I would say below Horizon Forbidden West, below the Deus Ex Human Revolution and BioShock Infinite, below GTA 3, below Tsushima. Mm, damn. Yeah, BioShock or where is BioShock? Where's BioShock 1? Down there. Yeah, Spider-Man versus Arkham City. I would go ahead of BioShock right below Half-Life 2 for Spider-Man 1. Arkham Asylum, like there's no way I could put Spider-Man Insomniac Spider-Man 1 ahead of Arkham Asylum, but I think I would put it ahead of Arkham City. Spider-Man 1 was great, dude. And for an original story in the Spider-Man universe to be that fucking compelling, that emotional, like I think at that time I remember talking to people and being like, I think the best Spider-Man story that's ever been told, like in terms of if you're comparing it to the films, I think Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man is the most emotional story out of, comparing this to any of the films. Great gameplay to adapt what made the Arkham games, what made that combat system flow so well, and then be able to, take that and spin that into Spider-Man within his combat and within his, move set. Like that's not fucking easy. And so I yeah, Spider-Man 1 much appreciated but not not up there in my overall top 100. And then we go on to, so I think Jedi Survivor is kind of right where it belongs. Uncharted 2 I think is, yeah, I don't think I would put the Resident Evil 4. I don't know actually. I'm kind of looking at this. Maybe yeah. I'm cool with this. No, Uncharted 2 I would put ahead of both the Resident Evil 4 games. Mass Effect has to move way the fuck up without a doubt for certain. Um Mass Effect 1 got me into RPGs. Take a shot if you've ever heard that. I think I've said that 1,052 times, but I just think of the relationship there with Saren and the first interaction with Sovereign and the decision on the beach with Rex and the Ashley Caden scenario and just it has some of the most fucking difficult choices to make that I had ever seen in a game like that. And once again, I hadn't played many RPGs when it came out and not many choice-based, choice-driven games. But even going back to it, I still think it has some complex characters with complex choices that you have to make. And sure, gameplay not great. Totally agree with that. Although the Legendary Edition does a great job of remedying a lot of those issues. But like even the Mako and stuff like that people had a lot of problems with, I enjoyed it, and hitting the Citadel for the first time felt like just this new, like this new untapped, but not untapped per se, but like it was just like this bustling kind of district full of businesses that were up and operational and all of this fucking galactic politicking and all this crazy shit going on. Yeah, Mass Effect. uh, I fucking love Mass Effect, and I think that they hone in and focus so much on the relationship building that you have like a different level of connection to the cast of characters in Mass Effect than you do for most games, man. It's really impressive what they pulled off in that three-game run, but specifically one and two. And now to push a game down the ladder, X-Men 92 needs to go down. X-Men 92 probably should be. Oh no. Did I get two SmackDown versus Raw 2007s? Motherfucker. Well, I can easily adjust that because it should be SmackDown versus Raw 2006 in there. I mean that or oh 07 are really they're very similar, but I would personally like to have oh 06 and I can fix that. Um X-Men 92 should drop down quite a bit. Probably it's got to be definitely mm, we'll go X-Men 92 below, let's see. Yeah, below Madden oh 05, right above Ultimate Spider-Man. X-Men 92 is solely like a nostalgia play and I do think it was a great game, undeniably. But it's a nostalgia thing. You know what I mean? When thinking back to the arcade, something that just I do not have that experience anymore. Like I can't just go and walk into the bowling alley anymore and boot up a game of X-Men 92 and then, it's just not something that is feasible anymore. And I don't think there's even like a console version of it as far as I'm aware, which is just crazy, man. But yeah, I mean, you're talking the sprites, you're talking the character models, you're talking the, just seeing that and hearing that jump out of that arcade cabinet. It was music when you walked into that bowling alley and heard that. Like, I loved X-Men. I've always loved X-Men. Obviously, you see the T-shirt, so I hate to drop it down there, but I recognize that it's solely a nostalgia play for it being so high for me. And so yeah, we're in that camp right now. It feels good to see these games at the top, other than SmackDown versus Raw 2007. I don't like seeing that one there. So you know what I'm actually going to do? What I'm going to do. Um, oh, I can just X this motherfucker, huh? You know what? Before I do that and fuck something up drastically, let's save changes. And so that way that's locked in case something goes wrong. Do I not have oh 06 on here at all? Or did I accidentally like push it back? Let me just look real quick before I doubly fuck up. I've been known to fuck up a thing or two. But yeah, I don't need SmackDown versus Raw. Okay, yeah, we're fine. I don't need SmackDown versus Raw '07 at all. What I need is Smack, oop, SmackDown versus Raw 2006. Thank you, partner. I probably just saw the 2006 in parentheses and clicked that one. That's on me. Quick fix. All good. So that'll be on page two. Oh no. Okay, cool. Oh, we exit out all the other ones? Nice. Um, oh no, they're still there. Got it, got it, got it. It's not listed. Bring that up all the way to the tippy top up there because that's going to be high. All right. So we are good. We're in business now. I'm going to hit save changes one more time just to make sure I'm not fucking anything up. Cool. Cool, cool. So yeah, we're right there in that camp now where we're talking about genuinely my favorite games that have ever been made. And I don't think there's really much adjusting or pivoting that needs done in these lower rungs here. I think we've pretty much got that down to a science. Um, you're always going to look back at this and I'm always going to be like, "Ah, I should have put that ahead of this and da 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 da." Like that's inevitable, but I think that these are like my favorite games of all time. The rung that we're looking at here. And it's like my adult brain looks at NBA Live '06 and I think about it kind of similarly to a somewhat like X-Men '92, the arcade game where it's like that's a time and place thing. I've gone back and played NBA Live '06, tried to do a dynasty mode by myself, and it's like, yeah, it's not quite as fun as when you are, fucking 11 years old, however old I was at this time, and playing it with your best friends for 8 hours and you're doing all the dunk contests and you're doing the armpit hang from the rim and you're doing the double between the legs cartwheels and you're competing with, going to the finals, Dwayne Wade versus LeBron, and somehow this guy got LeBron and Kobe on the same team. Is he gonna be stopped? All of these going in and getting Peja Stojakovic, who was just completely OP, and all of these things, right? But that's a lot of nostalgia. Now, nostalgia should factor in heavily to this. I guess how heavily is the question because I see sitting right there above it ESPN NFL 2K5, which I still play regularly. And that game still holds up. And I think it's still to this day, compare it to any modern NFL, Madden, any NBA 2K, anything. I think it's still the best playing sports game that has ever been made, and I still think it plays better than those games 20 years later. Um, NBA Live, I can't say the same about. Pains me to move this because those freestyle moves in NBA Live '06, we sat there on the park and we sat there in my dirt backyard, my dirt court in the backyard back in the day, and we tried to perfect these moves over and over. But I'm gonna put it up there though. You know what? I'm gonna drop it right here next to GTA 3. I'll go above GTA 3 though because we there was the thing where NBA Live '07 came out. We went back to '06. NBA Live '08 came out. That was Gilbert Arenas on the cover. We were still playing '06. We thought '06 was better. We thought the freestyle moves that were added into '07 just didn't quite hit the same way as '06. '07 was Tracy McGrady on the cover, I think. And then you go into '09, that's Tony Parker. That was, we're getting into the 360 PS3 era. And at that point, we were just like, yeah, let's. Well, it really would have been okay. We were still playing NBA Live '09. Um, and then we stopped playing when Dwight Howard was on the cover, I think in 2010. And that was when NBA 2K had Kobe on the cover. And it was just NBA 2K, it took over at that point. Um, but NBA Live '06 probably had the longest dominance of our household from any NBA game. So it needs to be on that list. Certainly. Okay. So with that being said, let's go ahead and climb NFL 2K5 on up there quite a bit. Like that's definitely we'll get to it in a bit when we start really whittling down the top, but that's got to be up there. Saints Row 2 can drop. Saints Row 2 can drop. I love Saints Row 2. We're gonna push this down quite a bit. We'll go. I like Mafia 1 more than Saints Row 2. I do definitely like Saints Row 2 more than GTA 3. I'll put Saints Row 2 right above Spec Ops The Line. I'll actually go right above BioShock Infinite, right below Deus Ex Human Revolution for Saints Row 2. Yeah, Saints Row 2 was just the perfect blend between the insanity and the gritty nature from Saints Row 1. I fucking adore Saints Row 2. I think it has an awesome story, much, higher budget after the success of Saints Row 1. So you have better set pieces. The shooting's much better. It's just a much, much more refined product than Saints Row 1. But, love both games. Anything else that needs bumping? Because Saints Row 3 is going to be the Saints Row game that we really put some shine on. Beyond Good and Evil has to be up there. The Tony Hawk games back to back, right? Like pick one, I guess. I would pick Thug, Tony Hawk's Underground 1. So let's drop Pro Skater 2 down a little bit. I I mean, I'd have a tough time putting Pro Skater 2 below Uncharted 2. Pro Skater 2, it was the game where Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 came out, we played it, but there wasn't that same competitive multiplayer kind of landscape where, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 introduces the manual system that makes combo points go through the roof. So you're in there getting 500,000 plus points and you got a buddy who's topping it at 700,000. Like you're doing these crazy, crazy combos, building your own parks and creating your characters. And Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, that was the fucking game for sure. From at least from 1 through 4, that was the game in that franchise for us. But Tony Hawk's Underground, that was a big dog. That we'll get to it when we get to it, but that's going to be up there. Um, my damn voice is going. Let me hit one more drink of water. I might have to go grab another one. I like that. Dead Space 2 and The Evil Within 2 right next to one another. That makes some sense for sure. The Evil Within 2 would be higher. Dead Space 2 would drop below the Resident Evil 4s and would drop below Uncharted 4 right above Mafia 1 for Dead Space 2. And Dead Space 2, I talked about it before, talking about the sprawl, the name of the location in Dead Space 2. And that is, with the Ishimura and Dead Space 1 being more of this kind of corridor by corridor. And it had a lot of Resident Evil 1 feel to it, which I love Resident Evil 2 so much more than 1. And I feel like the sprawl has more of a Raccoon City kind of, I mean, I know it's more enclosed and indoors, but it feels more, for a lack of a better term, sprawling. And I some of the vibes there with like the Scientology sort of creepy cultish religion thing that's going on and the brainwashing and just the themes of Dead Space 2 and giving Isaac the voice actor. And yeah, Dead Space 2 really, really landed with me. The Evil Within 2, mm, yeah, fuck. I'm looking at Resident Evil 4 and I don't know, dude. Like, Resident Evil 4 is more replayable, for sure. I think The Evil Within 2 is more impactful, narratively, certainly. But I also think that there's certain shit with the gameplay and some of the boss design and some of the enemy encounters and how the open world is laid out. Like, I think it just has a really strong impact. And just you know, when you're looking at The Evil Within 1, And you are talking about a very, very Resident Evil 4 coded game. And then for the Evil Within 2 to be like this Resident Evil 4 slash The Last of Us style blend, super fucking ambitious. And I just think it's one of the greatest survival horror games ever been made, and it doesn't get nearly the credit it deserves. So I think this is the list to credit it, but I still don't think that. You know what I'm gonna do? This is total fucking horse shit. I'm gonna go right above RE4 OG and kind of split the difference there. I'm gonna put RE4 remake and then the Evil Within 2 and then RE4 OG. That's just like such a cop out fucking move there. Just splitting up the Resident Evils and throwing the Evil Within between them. Like that's probably not the correct placement, but that's what we're gonna go with. Um, let's see. I want to. Metal Gear Solid 1 probably should move down. Yeah, MGS 1 should move down, and we're gonna go probably around the range of. I'd put it above Horizon. I wouldn't put it above Cyberpunk for Metal Gear Solid 1. Um, to me, Metal Gear Solid 1 like created stories. And I know that that's not true. I know you had your JRPGs back in the day, but that's something I've talked about. Like we had no real JRPG. Like that wasn't even something that we didn't know about that. I mean, I guess we knew that they existed, but like I don't know a single person growing up who played JRPGs. So it was just not like, it's not water cooler discussion. You're not sitting on the playground with the buddies talking about Final Fantasy. Like that was not a part of my upbringing whatsoever. And I know a lot of great stories were being told in the JRPG space, but it really wasn't until Metal Gear Solid 1 like showed me that, oh my God, there can be some fucking great cinematic narratives told in this space. And I guess that's the big thing too, where it was so cinematic. It was so like you had these badass cutscenes, and sure, definitely primitive, definitely of the time, but very, very impressive at the time. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid 1 has to be high up there, but not quite in MGS2 territory, which we'll get to when we get to it. Um yes, yeah, so we're well over an hour at this point. Oh fuck it. Well, I mean, we're here. Let's finish this shit out. All right. Um Arkham Asylum's got to be up there. Infamous 2, I'm not moving. Infamous 2, it's I would say probably above Survivor, Jedi Survivor for me. A quick swap. I know this isn't much of anything, but Arkham Asylum would be ahead of Saints Row the third. Oh, dude, we are in dangerous, dangerous water here. Like you're talking, okay, let's save and let's get a lay of the land. See what range are we looking at? Because this is we're getting down to the wire, man. These are yeah. You're talking about we're in top 20 territory right here. God, dog. Okay. All right. I see some unfortunate moves that got to be made. Why is it always the unfortunate moves that got to be made? I guess because the fortunate moves they don't bother you as much, right? You're looking forward to bumping a game up. You're never really looking forward to bumping a game down. But I do see a game we got to bump down, and that game is Def Jam Fight for New York. I love it. Love, love, love Def Jam Fight for New York. I think that that game is it's my favorite fighting game of all time if you don't include like WWE games. And but I guess that's the thing is this is a wrestling game, but it's less wrestling than Def Jam Vendetta, and I think that that's what I liked about it. It felt, very not Street Fighter as in the franchise, but very Street Fight in its like it did feel like you were in the street fucking brawling. And yeah, I just and I know I shouted this out already because it's like coming back to me. Once again I don't know how I'm gonna release all these videos, but I it's been like a couple weeks since I've recorded, but I do remember talking about Def Jam Fight for New York and how awesome it was for the story and how awesome like going in and picking out your clothing and getting your echo and getting your shoes and picking the shoe color and picking the hat you wanted to wear and flipping the hat backwards and throwing the chain on and having all of this level of detail for your character customization, like very impressive, very very impressive, right? But at the same time, like you know it's not in that top tier for me. It's in the top tier, but not the top tier. Um, I would go above Starfield, below Horizon Forbidden West for Def Jam Fight for New York. Yeah. Okay. And one other one that I'm gonna drop just a little bit is Jade Empire. I'm gonna put Jade Empire right above Infamous 2, right below Saints Row 3 for now. Jade Empire is, I think BioWare's kind of hidden gem, if such a thing exists. I don't know why people don't talk about this. It's like this crazy fucking fantasy MMA game. And it's got a great story like your BioWare games typically have, but it's also got fantastic fucking combat that is incredibly complex, at least, in terms of BioWare combat systems. This is definitely as involved as any of them. Um, I dig the shit out of this game, and it's doing weird like shoot 'em up. You got weird shoot 'em up situations that occur and take place throughout the game, and yeah, you have your choice and consequence and all that stuff, but it's just a really unique title, super fucking unique. So got to give it some love, but you know, we're getting into that territory where it's really, really tough. So all right, let's make some quick moves here. I don't want this to push into the 2 hour territory. Let's make some quick moves. Let's go. I'm fine with actually dropping Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain down. I would put that below. I would actually put that below Jedi Survivor, I think, but above Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I think we played Here Comes the Pain more than Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. And now we're looking at. All right, well, we'll go ahead and rip this Band-Aid off right now. Red Dead Redemption 2 has to bump up like a lot, a lot, a lot. Um, I've talked about this before, but I think if somebody like sat me down and say, "Hey, what do you think is the greatest video game ever been, that's ever been created?" I would say Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't think I've played a better video game than Red Dead Redemption 2. There's games I like more, and we'll talk about those, but better I don't know. Uh, More like a game that I boot up and I'm just in awe of. There's nothing really like this. I don't know if I've been more impressed by a game world, more impressed by just the level of detail in a game world than I have with Red Dead Redemption 2. The pacing is so intentional, and I know that that can throw people off, but I think that if you really settle in and just take the story for what it's trying to tell you and take it at the pace it's trying to roll out for you, you can really and that's the thing is I get it, dude. Sometimes like yeah, I don't want to wait 10 hours to get to the good stuff. And I totally get you. Totally fucking get you. Then that often does not work at all for me either. There's so many games where people are like, well, if you just play it for 8 more hours, you'll get to the good shit. It's like, I don't want to play it for 8 more hours. I wanted the good stuff to be there immediately. I'm playing a fucking game that I spent money for. Why is the good stuff not apparent out the gate? I get it. And Red Dead 2, it does take a while to open up. But I just, the methodical nature of it and how it rolled out that story and how it slowly kind of, it wants you to be so deliberate, so methodical. You know, the reloading animation takes quite some time and going through the dresser drawers takes quite some time. But I mean, just the train robberies and then breaking into homes and just the level of detail in every single animation. You know, we talk often about the production per square inch, and I stole that quote from Colin Moriarty. I can't take credit for it, but I love that fucking quote for like The Last of Us. Production per square inch for The Last of Us. Production per square inch for Red Dead Redemption 2 is comparable, but there's a whole lot more square inches to be produced. And that's fucking crazy that you have the production value of a Last of Us in a game the size of Red Dead Redemption 2, you know, and a story that is one for the record books. Like it is, I don't know that I've ever, you know, no spoilers, but don't know if I've ever gotten to a certain point of the game and I've been like, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay, greatest character ever, probably. Yeah. Okay, nice. Um, and I actually like the combat. I like the gameplay in Red Dead Redemption 2. I, once again, it's a particular style. It's slow, but I just vibe with it. And the hand-to-hand combat, the melee feels good. Tackling enemies, like there's shit in Red Dead Redemption 2 that I don't know. It just it's an impressive fucking achievement. And Metal Gear Solid 2 is definitely up there. Uh, Beyond Good and Evil is going to have to drop, and I guess the reason I am dropping games lower is because when we get to the pinnacle of this list, it's yeah, it's kind of. Ooh, where does Beyond Good and Evil go though? Maybe I would not put Beyond Good and Evil above The Evil Within. I would put it above. I'll put it above Plague Tale, right below Starfield for Beyond Good and Evil. Um, GTA Vice City has to drop. Played it last year, fucking adore it, but the GTA game that will be represented on this list is, oh shit, did it freeze? Oh boy. Oh no, 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 no. Oh fuck. It is breaking. Oh damn. GTA Vice City's just stuck. Do y'all see that on y'all's end as well? Can I place it there? This is not good. This is throwing off everything. Fuck, man. Let's save changes and see what happens. Okay, I guess it just stayed the same, but SmackDown Here Comes the Pain has to drop. Where did I put it? I think probably, yeah, probably around Tony Hawk. I would say, yeah, probably above Tony Hawk. Um, Something doesn't feel right. Motherfucker. See, that's the thing, like the little technical goofs, and if I'm not able to notice like where something went wrong, bitch. Mother, mother bitch. That's a bummer, right? Oh well. Uh, I'll scan through it one more time before we exit out of here just to get a gut check. GTA Vice City, I would drop. I mean, I'm not dropping it far. Like GTA Vice City's the fucking shit, but probably I would go below Saints Row. I would go above Jedi Survivor for GTA Vice City. GTA Vice City, like that's a GTA Vice City is one of those games that you play, and after playing it, you feel like you have experienced a part of culture that, you know, I wasn't born in the era that, you know, I could have experienced that music, and I wasn't born in the era where like I guess I mean fucking cocaine and all of that shit never really goes out of style, but like the coke era of Miami, which like once again I guess that era never goes away, but this 1980s Miami Vice lifestyle, the neon, the cars, the everything of that era, like it really felt like you were in 1980s Miami as was displayed in Scarface. And yeah, it's a lot of ripping off Scarface for sure. No doubt. But yeah, it's fucking Ray Liotta as the main character. And it's still, we're not getting to the point with Vice City where it's a super, epic narrative or anything like that. You have to wait for San Andreas on that. But it was still like, oh shit, goddamn Ray Liotta as the main character. Like, that's kind of fucking nasty. And the mansions and going and buying the property and yeah, Vice City fucking ruled. But speaking of that, let's go ahead and yeah, San Andreas is going way, 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 way up that ladder. And we're gonna order these when we get to them, so just keep that in mind. There's nothing set in stone with that. All right, guys, I think we're here. I think we're here in that greatest games of all time territory for me. These are the ones. I don't think there's anything I really need to move down. These are the games. So let's get a lay of the land, save the changes. One more time, view the list. I think this will be the last time we have to do this because we're right around that top. We're in the top 15 now, officially in the top 15. Boy. Um, man, oh man. I'm just looking one more time to see if there's anything I need to move down from the top 15. And there is one thing. There is one thing that I'll move, um, that I'll move down. And that is Thug One. I will drop Thug One down and not low, not too low or anything, but I'll drop it. I couldn't put it above Vice City, so we'll just leave it here for a second. Um, yeah, I think this would probably be fair. Right above Jedi Survivor, but right below Vice City. Like I didn't play, Tony Hawk's Underground 1 more than I played Vice City. I adore Thug 1. That was the game where it became more than a multiplayer game to me. The other Tony Hawk games, I they weren't my games. Like just being completely real, whenever I had time with the PlayStation 1, I was playing WWF SmackDown, I was playing, Resident Evil 2, Metal Gear Solid 1, Crash Bash, whatever the case may be. I wasn't really playing the Tony Hawk games. And sometimes I would just to practice so that I could be competitive when playing multiplayer, but it wasn't really what I wanted to play just for fun. Thug One was that. Creating the player, going into the open world, getting off your board, having the story, all the shit with the cars, and just that was the game for me where I was like, I could play this shit just fucking endlessly solo. And so yeah, that would be higher just because that game became more something that me personally I was invested in more so than just being able to stay competitive with the people I was playing against. And now I think we're in the real territory here. So I think we're all good in this realm. I don't think there's really any adjustments. No, I think we're good here. And Bully feels like something that needs to go up a little bit. So once again, Resident Evil 2, we'll get to it when we get to it. It's up there. Yeah. Okay. Um, Bully, I would go. That's the craziest thing when you start like really getting into this territory. I'm like, bully, I would go, and it's just you run into a brick wall. Yeah, there's nothing that bully is taking out up here, unfortunately. I fucking love bully. I love the concept of bully so damn much. But when looking at this list, like, as much as I love the old Bulworth Academy, as much as I love old Jimmy Hopkins, as much as I love going to the classes and doing chemistry and doing the physical education and doing the English tests and going in and playing dodgeball and learning the different fucking, combat maneuvers and shooting my damn a slingshot and fucking with the jocks and then getting into like a sort of, what was it with the preps, they have like their fight club or whatever. um as much as I love that, it's like, what the fuck do I move out of the way for it? And I guess probably a lot of people are looking at Crash Bash, so we should talk about Crash Bash. Listen, Crash Bash is a game that is special to me, and then so is Crash Bandicoot, but Crash Bash in specific is what me and my uncle played the most. And I didn't grow up with a lot of male role models. He was probably the number one male role model that I had that I could actually rely on. He passed away when I was young, and that's kind of the game that I remember him by the most. So it's like, I don't know. I'll always sort of honor that game just as like, even though, yeah, and I still think it is a really good party game, a really fun party game, but it just means a lot to me personally. So it'll be a game that I always, hold in high regard, not to turn into a crying, blubbering mess. But yeah, that's that'll be up there for sure. And I'm not saying it'll be, number one or anything in that realm. And actually, like, if I'm sitting here and being honest, I could probably drop this below, probably below Arkham Asylum and above Saints Row the Third. I think would be somewhat fair. That pushes Bully up. I like seeing Bully pushed up. I like seeing Arkham Asylum pushed up, and then still honoring Crash Bash in that like top 20 range. Like, that's perfect. Um, Now, yeah, Bully isn't going up anymore though. I don't think, because Metal Gear Solid 2 is even coming up against some tough competition where it's like, fucking, hey, I don't know if almost anything's going up anymore. Alpha Protocol I could drop to push SmackDown versus Raw 2006 ahead of it. I got to get SmackDown versus Raw 2006 up there because that's the game that has my favorite game mode in the history of game modes, and that's why I had to swap out '07 for it. The GM mode in SmackDown versus Raw 2006 in specific is, in my opinion, the most addictive game mode ever. And there's a lot of specifics that have to, there's a lot of requirements, there's a lot of context needed. Like, this isn't going to be the most addictive game mode in the world to you unless you are an absolute wrestling fucking nutcase, unless you want to go in and pretty much play the role of a, for modern times Triple H, or for previous eras Vince McMahon, or ECW a Paul Heyman. If you want to play the role of a booker, Eric Bischoff in WCW, whatever, if you want to play that role of hiring the talent, booking the matches, setting up the rivalries, making sure you're getting, 5-star matches, beating out your competition, checking the weekly reports to see who's getting more live viewership, checking the monthly reports to see who's getting more pay-per-view buys. That's the shit that I love so fucking much. And for whatever reason, the simplicity of SmackDown versus Raw 2006, they captured it absolutely perfectly. And it's been fucking 20 years, and they still have not been able to recapture what made that GM mode so special. I think the GM modes now just plain out, straight up fucking suck. They get way too complicated. They get way too in the weeds. They get way too in their own head about trying to change something that was made perfect in 2006, and it got even better in 2007, but it got slightly more complicated. And I would take just the simple, boiled down, basic ass original version of '06. And even if there are things I would take from '07, and combine into '06 to make the perfect game, I gotta give love to the OG that set it off. SmackDown versus Raw '06 has to be up there for me. Um, is it beating out anything above the Alpha Protocol on this list? No, but it's got to be up there. You know what I think it actually could beat out? NFL 2K5. We're gonna drop NFL 2K5 right below SmackDown versus Raw '06, and we are going to, for one reason, I the only thing about NFL 2K5 that I will say is that there's not a particular game mode in NFL 2K5 that is like the show stealer. You have your first person mode, which is very innovative, which is very interesting, not necessarily influential, not necessarily something that was aped and reiterated and or iterated upon, and not something that became like this phenomenon that I think it could have been. Like I do think the idea is fascinating to play a full football game from the first person perspective. Like what a wild thing to even try to pull off. It just wasn't that fun to do. Impressive. The crib, impressive. When you see Madden took some stuff from the crib, and sure, but like it had features, it had gameplay, it had all of these things that Madden stole, but not necessarily a mode. I think the actual better mode did. I mean, you have to give EA some credit. That came from the career mode, which NFL 2K did not start up. You know, um, the career mode, what was that, 2006 Madden? Like that was really where all that shit kicked off. And that would have been the defining mode, I would say, for football games. And NFL 2K didn't have that. It has the best gameplay of any sports game ever. But I I still think just for that mode alone, and just, I'm probably more of a wrestling guy than I am like a football guy. So yeah, SmackDown versus Raw '06 would be up a little bit higher. And look at that cover. Cena, Batista, the red, the blue, like fucking great cover. Nostalgia speaking. Um, one more drink of water. Last little drink for the last little bit of the list. Let's see. Um, down to the motherfucking wire. Boy, oh boy. How about we go? You know what? The Wolf Among Us, I think I'm okay with dropping a little bit. I think I'm okay with actually dropping The Wolf Among Us right below NFL 2K5, right above Alpha Protocol. Um, I've talked about it 152 times, so I'm not going to bore you with the details even more here. But this got me back into gaming, and even beyond that, I just think the cast of characters, the writing, the voice performances, the world that they built, this really decrepit, creepy version of like these iconic, beloved childhood heroes, your Snow White, your Beauty and the Beast, and seeing them in strung out fucking, crack and prostitute infested apartments, and like these horrible portrayals of these characters. And yeah, just it was so shocking to me playing it at the time, and I'm like, wait, that's who? That's that's a recreation of what character? That's okay, fucking interesting. Certainly interesting. Um, so yeah, it's definitely got to be up there, but I, as much impact that it had on me, these other games are just fucking up there, up there, up there, up there. And I actually think The Witcher 3 is going to drop back a little bit. I would put The Last of Us ahead of The Witcher 3. I would put SmackDown versus Raw 6 ahead of The Witcher 3. Weirdly enough, I think that I would drop The Witcher 3 back to right above Metal Gear Solid 2. No, I don't believe that. I think I would go right above Bully. Metal Gear Solid 2, I think the storytelling in Metal Gear Solid 2 takes it to a different level where the storytelling in MGS2, you're talking about probably the most uh, prophetic, just future forward, future thinking. Like I can't believe Kojima told that fucking story in 2001. Like he had to have had the blueprint to the way that we would be living in 2025 and 2020. Like every single year that becomes more and more and more relevant. It's fucking wild. Like that's actually a really wild thing to go back to because every new invention, every new kind of, trend that's taking over society, like AI. Oh wow, fucking some version of that is spoken about in MGS2. The social media that's directly spoken about in MGS2. Blackmail and fucking CIA potentially using assets for blackmail and having these sort of funding programs and being able to essentially roll out any message that they want the general population to believe and being able to convince the population with great effectiveness through a lot of very manipulative tactics and directly using, they didn't say the term social media because social media, the term didn't really exist in 2001, but directly fucking saying, you know through like internet discourse and fucking crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. So yeah, that's got to be up there. I'd put The Wolf Among Us ahead of Alpha Protocol, so we'll kind of leave those where they are. And also MGS2 had fucking great gameplay. You know what I mean? Like they had the first person shooting mode where you could swap to it. You had the thing where the dude's like pissing on you. If you stand under him, he's taking the piss in the stairs, and you look up and the dude's taking a fucking piss on you. And it's like that's crazy. All the bottles are breakable, and the game just felt so good. It flowed so good. The tanker was so well designed, and the boss fights were awesome. Metal Gear Solid, man, fuck. Metal Gear Solid 2 might need to bump up. God dang it. That's the problem. When you're talking about these games, the greats, like the greatest of the greats, you can make a fucking argument that Metal Gear Solid 2 is number two. You can't make an argument that it's number one. Number one will never be dethroned, unfortunately. Nostalgia goggles cloud my vision. Um, fuck, fuck. I'm gonna push Metal Gear Solid 2. I'm gonna split the difference above NFL 2K5, below SVR 06. MGS2 was so fucking impactful. I remember playing it as a kid and being blown away. And I would play all these games with my cousin, passing the controller back and forth, and then him trying to break down the story to me and like me not really getting it. And then me playing it a little bit later and getting it more. And then me playing it again a little bit later and getting it more. And then me playing it as an adult and being like, what the fuck? That shit, all time, all time story. Um, okay, so we're there. We are there at this point. These are the games. Sleeping Dogs, RE2, San Andreas, Red Dead 2, Mass Effect, Mass Effect 2, The Last of Us. Let's save the changes and let's look at the list. Okay, so this is the lay of the land right now. Sleeping Dogs at number one, Resident Evil 2 at number two, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas at number three, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number four, Mass Effect 1 at number five, Mass Effect 2 at number six, The Last of Us at number seven, SVR 06 at number eight, MGS2 at number nine, NFL 2K5 at number 10. Okay, well, here we go. I guess it is time to definitively build out that top 10. It's kind of crazy. Just we sort of capped it off at 10. Is that right? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Oh, NFL 2K5 is number 10. Okay, maybe did I read something wrong? I'm fucking always reading shit wrong, so probably. Okay, but yeah, that's perfect cap off point. And you know what? Let me pause this shit real quick. Go take a piss, grab a water, and let's just do this shit. Let's finish it off. Wording. All right. I think we are back in this bitch. So let's get to it. Um, damn, I should have took a drink of water before rolling again. Hold on one second. Yep, it's time. Let's do it. Okay, so we're kind of solidified, locked in. I did begin recording again, right? Yep, the red light's on. Okay. So we're locked in really to like SVR '06. I don't think anything at this point back, I don't really think is moving. At least not right now. Nothing's locked in officially. But we're really talking about The Last of Us, Emmy 2, Emmy 1, RDR 2, San Andreas, Resident Evil 2, Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs is the low man on the totem pole here. It would be pushed back. Well, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know about that. I don't know about low man on the totem pole. Let's look around. Let's push Sleeping Dogs. Now, if we're gonna do this, let's fucking do this. Sleeping Dogs and Red Dead need to come down. I don't want to come back down from this land. All right, so this is the duel. Red Dead 2 versus Sleeping Dogs. If you're going fun factor first in the comparison, Sleeping Dogs is winning that fight. If you're going narrative, Red Dead 2 is winning that fight. But I think that I've replayed Sleeping Dogs, I think 3 times now. Um, have not replayed Red Dead 2 yet. Now, granted, sure, a lot of that is because it's fucking long as hell. And I was totally satisfied with the one experience I had with it. In some games, I don't necessarily feel the need to replay. The one experience I had with it would be enough, and I have love for it, and I admire it, but it's not like I do think I might take Sleeping Dogs ahead of Red Dead 2 because when you're talking about Max Payne slowed down shots, being fired from your pistol as you're jumping over the fucking you're on a balcony or you're on the VIP second floor of a club and you jump down and slow down time in the fucking bullet time Max Payne styled motion and you're firing your fucking pistols at enemies beneath you and you as you fall down you slide across the countertop of a bar, still slow mo shooting motherfuckers. You get behind the bar, you're in cover, blasting people. You run out of bullets. You run into the kitchen. You're in the kitchen. You got a frying pan. You pick it up. You bash a motherfucker over the head with it. You're surrounded by people and you're ducking and dodging, kind of Arkham style flow to the combat, just whooping ass, countering motherfuckers, grabbing knives, stabbing people, grabbing any weapon, and not even weapon, any object you can find in the environment to use as a weapon in those times of need where you're being fucking hounded, you're being surrounded, you're being totally overwhelmed, and it's like how to buy separation and then going to the dojo and practicing those moves and learning kind of like these fighting style button combinations that will allow you to do all these different attacks. And I don't know, man. This slowed down kind of jumping from one car to the next. You're in a high speed chase and you need to get on the back of a different car, kind of Bad Boys esque. It's just a big blockbuster action movie. And yeah, fun factor Sleeping Dogs has to climb ahead of Red Dead 2. which is fucking crazy. The Last of Us versus Red Dead 2, probably The Last of Us. I, man, I don't know. I don't know about that actually. I really do not know about that because The Last of Us, I think, might have a slightly more powerful story overall because it's more restrained. It's not trying to be this 70-hour open world thing. So the narrative beats hit and they hit consistently, and there's really not much of a lull ever. Whereas Red Dead 2, there are those lulls that are needed to flesh out the open world, that are needed to really get you acquainted with your different crewmates and your different the band of misfits that you've brought along the way. And then, but I do think that at the end of the day, like that does some of that downtime can hurt the overall pacing of the story, where The Last of Us 1 is paced fucking perfectly. However, when we start talking about production per square inch, which I do think is The Last of Us, like that's the calling card. That is the key ingredient that makes that game what it is. That's the thing that makes that game so special, is that cinematic quality, the level of storytelling on offer for The Last of Us 1, which is on par with any fucking big blockbuster movie, any A24 indie heartfelt, like that's why you saw it adapted into an HBO show and fucking won all these different, awards. And it's like one of the greatest television shows for season one because it's one of the greatest stories ever told. Like it's not just, oh, it's one of the best stories in gaming. It's one of the best stories with a period at the end of that sentence. Um, However, what Red Dead does is much more impressive than what The Last of Us does in pretty much every area other than story. And then I think when you get to story, it's kind of arguable that Red Dead 2 has a better story. So I guess like it kind of comes down to just personal sway, which all of this shit comes down to personal sway at the end of the day. But, you know, just for me, I'm going to go The Last of Us ahead of Red Dead 2. That feels kind of wrong, just even saying that, doing that. But, oh man, I do not know really. I genuinely do not know. Because, like, I don't even think you can argue that The Last of Us has that much better of a story. And for Red Dead 2 to do so many things better than The Last of Us, like everything better than The Last of Us, other than story. But it's like, is it a worse story? I don't know. But I think The Last of Us, the story might have just had a slightly more, it might have impacted me a little bit more just from a moment to moment basis. And I'm a fucking story guy, man. I'm a story guy. And with that said, Sleeping Dogs climbs damn near to the top of the list with, an okay story. But sometimes gameplay is that fucking fun, and you're like, yeah, it's got to, you're up there. You're up there. So we'll lock it in. The Last of Us ahead of Red Dead 2. That does not feel right. Like, I don't know why that feels so wrong, but it just feels wrong. But I guess Sleeping Dogs ahead of The Last of Us and Red Dead 2 should feel wrong, but that doesn't feel as wrong. So, what the fuck do I know? Um, all of this leads to this final, very, very boring moment because I know without a doubt what my top four are. Like, I don't even have any question whatsoever what my top four are. So, I guess I should have probably did the content creator thing and put on my entertainment hat and tried to fake this, but I know without a doubt what my top four are. There you have it. Have a good one. Take it easy, guys. No, listen, it's Resident Evil 2 is number one. Mass Effect 1 is number two. Mass Effect 2 is number three. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is number four. Those are my top four favorite games. That really hasn't changed in like 10 years or so. um, maybe 5 years, something like that. That's been locked in for a long time. I've replayed all of these games multiple times, and I just kind of feel the same way every single fucking time. You know what I mean? Like, and we talked about Mass Effect earlier. Mass Effect 2, just to quickly give it its shine, because I don't think we really talked about Mass Effect 2 all that much at all, is like, dude, Mass Effect 2 is like they took the RPG, sauce, and they were like, okay, well, we want to keep what makes it a great role-playing game, and we want to keep all of that intact, but you know, let's make it fun to actually play. Let's make the gameplay actually something that is on par with your Gears of Wars and your cover shooters of the 2010s. And like they did it. And BioWare made a great fucking shooter that's also a great RPG that also has a crazy budget in comparison to Mass Effect 1 and dope ass set pieces. And it's like a better game in pretty much every area other than Mass Effect 1 was my entry point into role playing games and my entry point into like really appreciating this genre. And Mass Effect 2 is my kind of like really solidifying that appreciation, but it's never going to be that kind of you never forget your first or whatever the fuck the quote is. Like Mass Effect 1, that's really where the impact happened. But Mass Effect 2, I fucking wholeheartedly acknowledge is probably a better video game. Just personally, it would rank lower for me on a personal level, but not on, like on an if I was trying to do this objectively, Mass Effect 2 would be ahead of one. But none of this shit's objective at all. Sleeping Dogs is ahead of fucking The Last of Us and Red Dead 2. Um, I love you, Sleeping Dogs, but you know, it's Mass Effect 2 is one of the best buddy cop, buddy companion fucking stories of all time. Like that's the entire story. It's like a bonding experience. And I just you're talking about Miranda and Thane and Jacob and this cast of characters that you and that's what they do so well in those Mass Effect games is they just flesh out your companions so well that you care about everybody. So when you get to the inevitable point of the suicide mission and you're sending Jack on the wrong route and something goes horribly wrong and you're like all of these scenarios that could go wrong and you feel it so deeply if you don't make the right choices. um and it's because of the established backstory that they provide throughout your 20 hours with these characters, 25 hours with these characters. And that's the thing as well, none of these games they don't need to be 70 hours. That's the crazy thing about this PS3 360 era, where it's like nowadays that this would somehow turn into a 60-hour bloated fucking mess. Like Veilguard was way too fucking long, you know? And like Origins wasn't that long. Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2 wasn't. Then you get to Inquisition, way too fucking long. And it's like you can cut the fat and have a really impactful ass story. And Mass Effect 1 and 2 just did that so well. And then for San Andreas is, in my opinion, the most impressive game probably that's ever been made in terms of it at this time, 2004. I don't think that, like, I don't think at this time we had ever seen anything of this scale where you're talking about, South LA, Las Vegas, one map, no loading screens, all of this stat progression where you have this character that you're taking to the gym and he's getting, and how many times have I said this shit on the channel? But hey, this is the shit this is the top 100, right? If we're talking about top 100 games of all time, I've probably talked about all of these numerous fucking times. So I get it that it's not enjoyable, but hey, and then if anybody new is somehow watching this 3 hour fucking, uh, 3 hour damn ranking here, the stat progression, the automated stat progression. You go to the gym, you automatically get bigger. You get jacked. You do a lot of running and you don't lift, you don't eat, you get skinny. You're going around doing deep sea diving, your lung capacity improves. You're running a lot, your stamina improves. You are they have fucking climbing for the first time ever in San Andreas. They have swimming for the first time ever in San Andreas. They have stealth for the first time ever in San Andreas. They're just adding so fucking much to this game, all the while two big ass open worlds intertwined into one with no loading screens on a PlayStation 2. I think even as a technical achievement, even compared to Red Dead 2, I think those two games are the most impressive creations in the history of video games. I think San Andreas still tops it because of the limitations at the time due to the hardware, and they still were able to create. I mean, you also got to keep in mind, like, they did this from 2002 to 2004. Like, Vice City, GTA 3 comes out in '01, Vice City '02. San Andreas '04. 2 year development cycle. It's fucking crazy. That is fucking nuts what San Andreas accomplished. And like so nuts that like the sim elements and shit are no longer found in those games because that shit's really difficult. And you'll hear developers talk about that and like how difficult that was and how difficult it was to like render in these two big ass open worlds inside of one open world simultaneously with no load screens and like that shit was rough. When you talk about crunch culture at Rockstar like that, that's yeah, that's probably one of the games that people have nightmares about over at that studio. And like you can see it though. Like the proof is in the pudding. That's fucking crazy. Um, and then sitting there nice and pretty, untouched at that number one spot because anybody who knows me knows that that was not ever going to be touched is Resident Evil 2, the game that made me fall in love with video games. I had played your Punch Outs, and I had played some of your Marios and your RBI baseballs and your different WWF games, and like I'd played games as a little kid on the NES and all of that shit. But when my cousin got a PlayStation 1 and showed me Resident Evil 2 for the first time, because I never even seen one before playing 2, at least not that I'm aware of. And hands me the controller. He's got the Gatling gun unlocked. He's got the rocket launcher unlocked. I'm going in and just fucking mowing down zombies. The blood, the gore, the spookiness, the music, the safe room musics, the Resident Evil, the just everything about the opening of the game, literally the case, the cover. I was so transfixed just with that art right there, the Resident Evil 2 art, for the box art. Like I was so enamored with this shit. I loved horror as an early age, man. As a young kid, I just loved spooky shit. And I was always around older people, right? So like I didn't really until I got to like I don't know, maybe fourth, fifth grade, something like that. I wasn't really hanging around a lot of kids my age. I mean, I had a few friends, but like I was more of a loner as a kid. And like so whatever my cousin liked and then my uncles and then like I had some older friends, like whatever they liked, it was kind of what I was into as well, just by proxy. But this was something totally different. This was like my cousin showed me this, and every single day I was begging my mom, please give me a PlayStation 1 with Resident Evil 2. Please give me a PlayStation 1 with Resident Evil 2. And one Christmas or one whatever, I don't remember, birthday, Christmas, fucking Easter, I don't know. But one day my mom got together it was late, because I guess I didn't have a PlayStation 1. They came out in 95. I didn't have one until probably 99, or maybe it was 98. Maybe it was the same year that RE2 came out, but I didn't have this system for a while, like towards the end, like kind of leading into the PS2 life cycle. And I don't think I got a PS2 for a while, but I think a big reason I didn't get a PS2 for a while was because I was just playing Resident Evil 2 every damn day for like well over a year. Um, I just know this game like the back of my hand, man. I can boot this thing up and like just zoom past those zombies in the opening level after the crash, get to Kendo's gun shop, take the back alley back to the Raccoon City Police Department, just juking and jiving. Oh, I know that zombie's gonna pop out right there. Oh, at the bus. Yeah, that zombie's gonna crawl to you, and like all of that shit. It's just, second nature. And I don't really play games like that. You know what I mean? I don't go back over and over and over, but like San Andreas and this, SmackDown versus Raw '06, NFL 2K5, those are the games I just go back to over and over and fucking over. And I cannot wait until Resident Evil 2 is playable on a PlayStation 5 later, I think this summer, like coming up soon. We're running out of summer, Capcom. So y'all said summer. I don't want to see no damn October. Although, if I'm being real, roll that bitch out late September, call it summer, and let me get into some RE2 for some early spooky season. That will make my Halloween for sure. Um, yeah, it's just Mr. X, of course, was impeccable. Just all-time great enemy design with Mr. X, hearing the footsteps, having the sound of an enemy be more terrifying than the actual encounter with that enemy is such smart design with horror. But also, like, don't get it twisted. That motherfucker pops up and you are scared. That bitch is gonna do a lot of damage. And such great design there. The liquor, the first time you look up and see that liquor in the hallway, it is panic inducing. That motherfucker is an absolute tyrant. Um, and then you get into Resident Evil 1 story is not great, right? Like it's been clowned upon 100 different times, and I think there's something cute about the cheesiness, but like Resident Evil 2's story is actually pretty fucking decent, man. Like it's still got some cheese with the Ada Leon, will they, won't they? That whole dynamic has definitely got some cheese to it, no doubt. But there is a level of like, I don't know, authenticity or not authenticity, but like a level of sincerity in Resident Evil 2. Like the whole Sherry Birkin, the situation there, like that is a compelling plot line throughout the game. Um, I think that just kind of Claire and Leon's relationship is fairly compelling. Not necessarily even like a will they, won't they, a romantic thing. It's just like this uh, kind of kinship of survival of like, um, like they constantly are like not constantly, but they're checking on each other throughout the game in RE2, and having like meeting back up and then being separated again, and like just there's something compelling there. And I think that Resident Evil 2 shines so much in the interior design, where I think that's something that a lot of modern horror games kind of struggle with, because one of the key design focal points for modern horror games is such dark, oppressive atmosphere. And to make it to where the only thing that is allowing you light is your literal flashlight. And I think in Resident Evil 2, the OG in '98, one of the more brilliant things that was done there was to create a memorable set of like iconography, a memorable like so much memorable location design where it's like, oh, well, here's the fucking the green door and here's the red door, and like you remember how to get back and how to do your backtracking with as little tedium as possible, because the locations are so memorable and so well designed that it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit that left corner, I'm gonna circle back right there, and then that's gonna be the gray door is gonna be there, and I'm gonna go back, and then there's the fucking chest, and then there, like you remember all that shit because everything is so just it has such specific color variants for where you need to go. And I don't know, man. I know I could sit here and gush about this all fucking day, but it's I do think there's something really special about the lighting of Resident Evil 2 that I'll never quite be able to articulate why I think it is the way that it is, but that game in specific is like, and I think a lot of PS1 games, I think they just have impeccable art direction, fucking impeccable art direction. And RE2 is no different, man. No different at all. Um, I think to the fucking crazy alligator moment in that game, the final fight, the fucking the final form, the like just yeah, RE2, it's number one. Cannot wait to go back and play this motherfucker. Cannot fucking wait. So there you go. There are your top 100 games of all time. Let's save the changes. Let's view the list. And let's make sure that I didn't fuck anything up too badly. All right. So I'm going to be real. I'm not going through and reading all 100 of these motherfuckers. We'll do a nice scroll, nice slow scroll, let you see everything as we go by. Um, my voice is already starting to fade out here. But actually, before we really, let's just do a scroll to see if there's anything that needs moving. I think we did a nice, we went through that kind of beat by beat, looked over everything. I, I think we're pretty good. We're in the clear on this, I think. Um, yeah. Listen, I mean, of course you look at this and you're like, there's some things I could probably swap, but is it really like I don't think there's anything on here that's egregious so far. Just going through it. I Yeah. So like I see could I swap fucking No Mercy and NBA Street? Sure, but NBA Street probably did have more like staying power for me and my friend group personally. Um yeah, man. I think this turned out pretty well. Although I could see The Walking Dead going ahead of Until Dawn. I mean, it's like swapping it one play. What? It's okay. It's okay. We'll fucking leave it where it is. So those are the top 100 games of all time, my friends. As you see, I fuck it. We're not gonna go all this way and then not. Here we go. Here I'm gonna read them out to you. Number 100, Spider-Man 2. 99, Freedom Fighters. 98, James Bond 007, Everything or Nothing. 97, A Plague Tale Innocence. 96, Days Gone. 95, X-Men Origins Wolverine. 94, Rise of the Tomb Raider. 93, Silent Hill 1. 92, Dying Light. 91, The Walking Dead. 89, Until Dawn. Oh, 90, Until Dawn. 89, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. 88, Control. 87, The Simpsons Hit and Run. 86, Oblivion. 85, Resident Evil 8. 84, Metal Gear Solid 3. 83, Ultimate Spider-Man. 82, X-Men. 81, Madden NFL 2005. 80, Dragon Age Origins. 79, Wolfenstein 2. 78, WWE SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. 77, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. 76, Gears 5. 75, Horizon Zero Dawn. 74, WWF No Mercy. 73, NBA Street. 72, LA Noire. 71, Lost Judgment. We're going to be here a while. 70, Far Cry 3. 69, Crash Team Racing. 68, The Sims. 67, Midnight Club 3. 66, Code Veronica. 65, Tony Hawk's Underground 2. 64, Silent Hill 3. 63, Batman Arkham City. 62, BioShock. 61, Spider-Man from Insomniac, the first game. 60, Half-Life 2. 59, Dead Space. 58, Fallout 3. 57, Parasite Eve. 56, Sifu. 55, Skyrim. 54, The Outer Worlds. 53, Crash 1. 52, Mafia 2. 51, GTA 5. I feel like I already said 51. Am I losing my mind? Probably. 50, Max Payne 3. 49, Red Dead Redemption. 48, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. 47, Ghost of Tsushima. 46, Grand Theft Auto 3. 45, NBA Live 06. 44, Evil West. 43, Spec Ops The Line. 42, Pyre. 41, Bioshock Infinite. 40, Saints Row 2. 39, Deus Ex Human Revolution. 38, Mafia the Definitive Edition. 37, Dead Space 2. 36, Uncharted 4, Thief's End. 35, A Plague Tale Requiem. 34, Beyond Good and Evil. 33, Starfield. 32, Def Jam Fight for New York. 31, Horizon Forbidden West. 30, Metal Gear Solid. 29, Cyberpunk 2077 2.0. 28, Resident Evil 4 2005. 27, The Evil Within 2. 26, Resident Evil 4 2023. 25, Uncharted 2. 24, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. 23, Here Comes the Bane. 22, Jedi Survivor. 21, Tony Hawk's Underground. 20, GTA Vice City. 19, Infamous 2. 18, Jade Empire. 17, Saints Row 3. 16, Crash Bash. 15, Batman Arkham Asylum. 14, Bully. 13, The Witcher 3. 12, Alpha Protocol. 11, The Wolf Among Us. 10, NFL 2K5. 9, Metal Gear Solid 2. 8, SmackDown vs. Raw 6. 7, Red Dead 2. 6, The Last of Us. 5, Sleeping Dogs. 4, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. 3, Mass Effect 2. 2, Mass Effect 1. 1, Resident Evil 2. There are your top 100 games, my good people. That concludes the journey. I am not looking forward to editing this, but I will get it done, get this up, get this out, get this process concluded, and yeah, man, I appreciate anybody who stuck by. Once again, I have not released a single one of these as of recording, so I don't know exactly how I'm gonna roll this out. I've thought about like just putting a poll out there and saying, "Hey, do y'all want this all as one video?" But I think that would probably be stupid. If I'm being real, I think that would probably be fucking stupid and kind of be more off-putting than rolling it out slowly over time. So I think that's what I'll do. Roll it out slowly, maybe I don't know. I typically don't post videos on Saturday, so maybe every Saturday a special treat. Have these rolled out, once a week. Give people time to watch them. Time to build a little bit of anticipation, a little bit of desire for people who are wanting to, check the next one out. Like, I don't know if that's going to be the case, but hopefully it is. Hopefully y'all are intrigued by this. I hope y'all enjoyed it at the very least for anybody who made it through all these different fucking parts to finally get to this moment. Or once again, I hope I explained it well enough for anybody who jumped straight ahead to this one because listen, if I'm being real, I probably would have jumped straight ahead to this shit too. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing at all wrong with that. I do not blame you whatsoever. I think even if you just watch this one video, I hope that this was enough, there's enough context, enough sort of explanation for these games because a lot of the games that I did not explain their placement here, I think I explained, in other videos and but I think everything in the top 10 we really we got into pretty deeply. Everything here. Did we didn't talk much about Alpha Protocol, but Alpha Protocol, like, let's talk about the number 12 game and just waste more fucking time, right? Alpha Protocol, like, I think that's my favorite Obsidian game ever. That's a all-time great RPG in my opinion. Janky as all fuck, no doubt about it. Janky as a motherfucker, but good lord, I just that story is unbelievable. And to the fact that we have no spy RPGs, no modern spy RPGs whatsoever, it's like maybe there is something there where I just have a crazy, crazy bias for that game because it's like we don't have anything else like it. And as janky as it is, I will tolerate it just to have something that is unlike anything else in a particular subgenre that I love so much. So I think that's probably carrying a lot of it. But I do think the writing is crazy and the level of branching choice and consequence is fucking impressive as well. So that's it. Gonna save my voice a little bit right here. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for watching. And please like, please share with a buddy. Please subscribe, comment. All of that stuff massively helps out. And hopefully this can get out to quite a few eyeballs. Um, as long as my rollout process wasn't brain dead. So we'll hope that that's not the case. But yeah, I just hope y'all enjoyed. This is really fun, and this is something that I've been promising the viewers for a long, long time. So I don't know. It feels nice to just finally get this concluded and get this wrapped up. So I hate saying I'm gonna do something and then not doing it. Like that's I fucking hate that feeling so much. So yeah, this is a nice feeling to finally have wrapped up on this. So appreciate y'all so much, man, and I will see you good people in the next video. Take it easy, guys. Goodbye.